into it, but I think it'll help.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to be jabbing at you with this.
No, I do mind, dude.
You mind? You mind about the jabbing?
I do mind.
Really, Ricky, this is so why did we have a throwing knife on the podcast table? It's weird.
It is weird. Ask my roommates who got into throwing knives for a minute.
And we are back. The boys are back again.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guess we're back.
Yes, me, Billy. I got Ricky here and Anthony. And tonight we're going to be talking about the recently released movie It. We're also going to be talking about sexual molestation amongst Hollywood directors. Ooh. That's Ricky's topic. Ricky's suggested topic. Let's get right into it, guys.
Before you say anything about the movie,
go right ahead.
Anthony saw it first. We briefly talked about it with Anthony last Friday. So let's let Anthony talk first about it and what he thought about it, and then I'll go second, and you can.
I like that. Okay.
Then you can wrap it up with your negativity.
Yeah, you do assume, but okay, I like it. Anthony, what did you think?
I liked it. I was entertained. Before going into seeing it, watching the previews, it looked like it was going to be like one of those frame for frame remakes of the 1990 television miniseries version. It seemed very true to the original. And then
the
watching
movie or the book?
The movie.
Okay.
As far as the way it was shot and everything. And then I get in there and watch it, and then after about 20 minutes, I realized that all the shit that was similar to the original they threw into one trailer. And, and so it's okay, so this is different. They did take liberties.
Yeah.
I was fine with it. I enjoyed the fact that it didn't bounce around in time from kids to adults and back and forth. I thought it was a good choice to just stick with the kids, just keep the one linear story. And then I realized, after watching the movie for a little bit and then thinking about the trailers I saw, that you never saw them as adults. I was like, and that's when I realized that they weren't going to do that. And then I was like, this opens it up for a sequel. And then, so that was 10, 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And it's okay, so they're going to make this a two-parter. And then at the end, obviously, when it said,
Chapter 1.
This says It, Chapter 1. You knew exactly that's where it was going.
Yeah. Right.
I thought that, and I'm trying to remember back from how much, I don't even know if I finished the book. Because I know in 1990, when that miniseries was coming out, I started reading the book to prepare for that movie. I'm just a kid, so I want to know what I want to know what the similarities are, differences are, and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
there's a lot of differences.
Yeah, totally. But which is good because it's two different
sources, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I read up until the miniseries came out, watched the miniseries, and then started reading the book again. But I can't remember if I ever finished the book or if it just got to the point where I was just watching the movie in my head and figured this is pointless. So I have a hard time differentiating between the book and the original miniseries when I'm comparing it to the movie I just saw.
Okay.
So when I say, when I reference the differences, it's those two lumped together compared to now. I think that because of the fact the kids' storyline takes place in the 80s, whereas in the original book
it was the 50s.
It was the 50s.
Right.
That obviously is a difference, but I think that they captured the 80s well. I thought that the banter between the kids, it was fun, and it made me feel kind of nostalgic for being a kid again, because I was around, their age back in the 80s.
And King has a way of doing that.
Yeah.
Even Stand By Me,
Right, but did King do the screenplay for this?
He did not.
Does this one? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so whoever did the screenplay, doing the dialogue and stuff, I thought it turned out well.
Yeah.
There were some things that just jumped out at me. It was just really weird that you're watching this scene, right before they have that rock fight down by the river. And the kids are all on the city street and they're talking, and they just do this shot of Stan. And it's, for whatever reason, just jumps out at me as like, he's obviously in front of a fucking green screen. It's like, what is this? Was this a pickup shot? Did they forget this one close-up of him reacting? Because it's all it was a reaction. He didn't have any dialogue or anything. And he was just obviously in front of a green screen. It's like, what the fuck is this? And then that immediately goes into that rock fight scene. And during that sequence, it was all like, again, all these shots were jumping out as being fake and in front of a CGI.
Yeah.
And then later on, there were certain certain things that were happening that those were jumping out at me, and I'm wondering, for whatever reason, I'm just wondering did they shoot that movie for a 3D showing, and I'm just seeing a 2D version, and those scenes, the ones that are supposed to jump out at you, I'm just reading as fake because of that.
And we're talking about the rock fight in particular.
Yeah.
That was a weird scene. Are you done with it? And do you want me to go on?
Oh, for the most part. I mean, that's my impression. My overall impression is I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I would pay to see it again.
Okay. I would pay to see it again for the reason of what you warned me about. Going to the drive-in and seeing it.
Yeah.
I cannot fucking...
The dark print.
The dark print, I cannot see shit. Yeah. Especially at the end when they're in the sewers. Yeah. I did not know who the fuck was jumping on the clown or not. I just could tell who the clown is, and there's like silhouettes of these little kids.
Oh, shit.
I cannot see what the fuck was going on in there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that was really grainy. Going to the drive-in and them making us use the radio because they don't have the little speaker box no more.
Right.
The signal we're getting was really weak, so it was staticky.
Oh, fuck, dude.
So it was a bad experience. The fucking assholes behind us kept throwing their high beams on. And it was bad.
Right.
I mean, that experience of going, I've been to the drive-in several times, as a kid. In my adult life, I went maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was a fun experience, very oh man, gotta do this more. And when we went to go see it, just people are assholes.
Right.
They're just bad. We're at a really bad angle, and couldn't tell what was going on the screen.
Oh man, that sucks.
With that being said, I felt the movie was a good movie. Mm-hmm. As a movie itself, it's like if I was not familiar with the 1990 miniseries,
right,
and if I've not been within the last year and a half, just so into the book itself, getting prepped for this movie and stuff.
Right.
I think this would have been one of the greatest movies. And I think there's a reason why, especially within the last 20 years maybe, that this is the highest grossing horror film. Well, I think it was all time. Yeah. In its opening week.
R-rated film. Yeah.
Horror movie in general.
Yeah.
117 million, I think, brought in just its opening weekend.
Right.
But with that being said, because I am familiar with the miniseries,
right, and
I am totally into the book. It did not stay true to any. The miniseries itself did not stay true. They had to take a lot of things out. The house on Nebel Street was not in the miniseries.
Right.
One thing that I did appreciate about the miniseries is they had the sanctuary of the Barrens, which they totally neglected in this movie. And this is a place where these kids felt safe. This is where they went. And even though they're right next to the sewer line where it lives, they're always safe. I think they got a lot of things with some of the characters, which will play. I'm curious now because they established what they're doing as kids, how it's going to, in the future when they're adults, how it's going to play out. Right. Because they totally switch out a lot of things. All right, fine. You cannot get everything from the original source material adapted into a film. We've seen it with The Shining.
Right.
It worked better in The Shining as a movie. Sorry, Mr. King.
Sure.
But your book sucked.
It did. Yeah,
but, with it, it's a phenomenal book.
Right.
It's a great book. And I wish they would have taken some things out. Now, one thing that really, truly bothered me about this movie was the kids' unity was not as strong as it should have been. There's that scene where they broke up.
Yeah.
They never broke up. And the whole point was the group, their love for one another was what really bonded them and what made them overpower the evil.
And I don't know if this is just faulty memory or more of a fantasy of mine, but didn't they all sleep with Beverly before they went and fought the clown?
And no, after the clown, in the book.
Okay.
In the book, after they defeated the clown as kids, its last fuck you to them was it threw haze on them to get them lost in the sewers and they would die because they wouldn't make their way out. Beverly was the only one who did not get affected by this, and she fucked the boys to bring unity back to the group so they can escape.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
And it was kind of a thing for...
Sounds like an exciting...
And it was another kind of fuck you because, like, Beverly has always been assumed to be a slut.
Yeah.
You know, like, because she's dirty, she's poor, she's from the bad neighborhood in this town.
They did kind of whitewash her character. You know, they made that was all rumors, you know?
Yeah, and it was rumors, you know?
Well, right, but like, even, like, when they tried to have when they tried to sexualize her as a character, you know, it was very, like toned down, even for an R-rated movie. And I mean, I don't know how old the actress was. It could have had a lot to do with that. The fact that she's actually a child, you know?
Right, yeah.
But if you're, you know, in the story, the character is actually very sexualized and becomes a sexual object at the end.
Right. I mean, even when the boys first, like when she's sitting her sunbathing, and all the kids had that like pan shot of all of them just like eyeballing her, you know, just laying there.
Right, and it just seemed very, I don't know, at least from what I remember of her.
No, I mean, because that was a thing in the book too. Was, I mean, another thing that bothered me was the tension between her and Bill. That was never in the book.
Right.
And that was never really...
Which one was Bill again?
He was the main kid, the stuttering Bill.
Stuttering Bill, okay.
So, and his stuttering was really diluted in this movie.
It was shitty.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, I'll wait for my...
Wait for your turn.
my turn.
Which, I appreciate that they, like, brought in a little bit of stuttering, but for the most part we can get... Because that bothers me in the book is... I know what he's trying to say, but I'm going to do the way that he's writing it in there.
Yeah.
Don't point your finger at me. And I'm just like, God, this is like a whole paragraph of him stuttering like 3 words.
Yeah.
You know?
Finger. Yeah.
But
that'd be distracting.
So, and like in the previews, like they totally like ignore the fact that he's stuttering Bill.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing I was going to ask you. Like, does he even fucking stutter?
Right, yeah.
You know?
But he did.
He did. And then, I know. All right. The kids did great doing their role. I thought the kid from Stranger Things who played Richie fucking nailed that character too. Yeah. The way he's described in the book. You know, just perfect. I wish they would have shown the bond between him and Bill as more like best friends. Because they were. There's things that they neglected, which I honestly think, all right, you're not going to get everything from the book. But we got a good chunk of the book in a 3-hour movie, which was the miniseries. An hour and a half each one. Now we're doing 2.5 hours for just half of the book. I thought they'd bring in a little bit more and really go into depth on who these characters were. More of their background, because they did a little bit, but, you know, we totally neglected Stan and Eddie. You know, I mean, we got more Ben because he's a new kid. We got more Mike because he's a black kid. And we got Bev because she's the only girl. We got Bill because he's the main character.
You thought we got more of Mike? I thought we got, like, almost nothing of Mike.
Which one was Mike again?
Mike was the black kid.
And the fact that, like...
I just said that. The black kid.
When they save him in that...
the rock fight.
The rock fight. And then the next scene is them at the park. They're instantly, like... He's instantly part of the group.
Yeah.
You know? And that seemed rushed. That was one thing that it was just like that.
And in the book, it was like that. It was like, you know, they didn't have... It was unspoken that, you know what, he's our 7th amendment. That's it. We don't really need to go any further. He's part of the losers.
Yeah, but the bonding of that experience didn't pay off in the movie. Like that experience didn't justify that kind of a bonding.
And that's another one of my complaints about this film, was that rock fight. Everything about that. The whole movie felt rushed, in my opinion. And that rock fight happening in the first, 15-20 minutes of the film.
No, it was later. It was pretty late in. It was like an hour.
It was not that.
Yeah,
it was later.
It was later.
Then I went and saw a very reduced version.
No, it was later. It was later.
Because this whole movie felt rushed.
It did.
And the rock fight
was definitely later.
It was not that late in the movie because he
it's
came
about
in.
an hour in.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. About
no,
that,
it
guys.
was later.
Well, when you watch it again in the theater, so you can actually see it.
Yeah, let us know.
Keep a mental note as to how
because
long
I felt that came really quick.
Right.
No,
it seemed like
the whole towards the end.
Yeah.
It was quick because it rushed him in as a main character and brought him into their company when he probably should have been there much earlier.
But he doesn't in the book. He comes really
fair enough. But
his character
within telling the story in the movie, it's
true.
very rushed.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I used to always compare it always to the book. Well, the book was like this, the film was like that, and because the film wasn't like the book, it's bad. But I just I have to look at it as two different versions. It's a remake of the book, or it's a retelling because it's a much different format, much different medium, way of telling a story. So you tell films differently than you write novels, and so you're going to have to change things. So within the framework of it being a film, it seemed the story they're weaving, if he was going to be that strong of a member of the group, he should have been introduced sooner. You should have had that bond more. That's the one thing when it comes to the kids' relationships that I felt was just a little like, It's like they just threw him in. They reduced him to the token black kid.
True.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, everything you say, I agree. Every Stephen King adaptation I've grown up watching, and then as getting older and going back to the novels and appreciating those as well. I don't know how many movies I've grown up loving, and then after reading the books, I just dismissed those are shitty films. Pet Sematary included. Mm-hmm. But there's obviously ones I can appreciate, what they The Shining. I felt like was a stronger movie.
Oh, it's Kubrick.
Well, yes, Kubrick's the man.
Yeah.
But if they would have, we've seen what happens when we go right from the novel into that miniseries, that awful one with Steven Weber. It's like some things don't transition well into film. So you have to take, let the filmmakers make the film, let the author write the book.
Right.
I agree. With this, I think it's because I'm so just into this novel as we speak. I'm finishing it up. I'm wrapping it up.
That was your fault for reading the novel in preparation for a movie.
Well, all right, fine. I'm an asshole, but let me fucking finish it. This thing is a lot of the stuff that I felt that they should have kept in that makes it a strong story. That was one of them, and the only reason why I feel that was one of them is because it really reduces Henry Bowers' character, the bully. Mm-hmm. And his bully, that character I felt was just wasted in this movie. I felt he just came in as an asshole and that was it. And I felt like he really needed to be a bigger character. And you know what? He was the tool that the fucking clown used to lure the kids in at the end. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If we can't get all his character in, why don't we just start him off as already being a tool? And then killing him off was...
So did I miss something? He's the one that was trapped in the sewer with it, right?
At the end or in the beginning?
More towards the beginning.
No, that was Patrick Hockstetter.
Okay.
He was a different character.
Okay.
We did not even know...
I thought the main bully was trapped in the sewer.
No.
Okay.
The main bully is the one with the mullet that killed his dad, who was the cop.
Yeah.
That's Henry Bowers.
Okay.
So, it was cute that they brought Hockstetter into the story because he wasn't a main role in the book, but he was a very intriguing role. He was wow, this kid was fucked up.
Okay.
But whatever. I mean, I liked it as a movie. I thought I thought they missed a lot of things they should have done from the book. Billy, go.
Thank you, Rick. Never read the book. Saw the miniseries several times. Loved it as a kid. Hated it as an adult. I fucking hated this movie. It made me angry that this movie is the number one film. Because I thought it was so poorly made.
Really?
Yes, I completely believe this. There was no violence in them. So why isn't R-rated? It's R-rated because the kid from Stranger Things says some swear words. Wow, great, cool, real funny. And then all of the effects were so... The CGI was just so cheesy, I thought. So never did I think that this movie was creepy. Never got the goosebumps, never got the willies. It didn't do anything for me on that level.
Right.
But plus, because I saw the miniseries, I know that they're all going to live. So there's no skin in this game. There's nothing at risk. Absolutely nothing. So watching this, it's like nobody's going to die. None of these main characters who I'm supposed to like, who I'm supposed to identify with, I know they're not going to die. So there's nothing here. So that's what really bothered me about the movie. As a movie, there was nothing suspenseful about it.
Yeah, but anybody who read the book or watched the miniseries knew that. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, I was still entertained.
But what made it so great? Why is it?
I don't know.
The number one rated R movie. Why is it so special?
I think your criticism of that is valid. It's the same reason why, like, when I watched the Star Wars prequels, when they had all those epic battles between, I can't remember who was fighting who, but you know who lives.
Yeah, exactly.
You know Yoda's going to fucking live. You know that.
It's all built into it. Yes,
exactly.
You know.
And so the people who are dying are the people that you invented for the fucking prequel that I don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a very valid argument. But in this go around, I was just entertained. And even though I know what's coming, it's like, I was like, well, how are you going to do it? Like, I don't know, but just like...
But what gentlemen, was there anything about this movie that you felt was really creepy? Like, that really got you?
I mean, honestly, my experience was very diluted because of the quality that I went and saw. So, for me, I cannot say... I mean, like, I felt like the CGI was weak, but I didn't know because I'm fucking sitting in my car watching it on a screen that's grainy. Listening to the static fucking, audio.
Right.
Yeah. That's fair. That's
so,
fair.
like, I couldn't... But, like, it felt like, for me... Yes, we all know that these characters are going to live. We know who's going to die. We know the end.
So as a movie, how does this help? Yeah.
How's it... I mean...
Yeah. If you know they're all going to live.
And what I think they... and what they did is they took the original miniseries, they just erased it, and they took parts that were not used from the book into the miniseries, and they brought that in. That's how we got the whole neglecting of, the Barrens and everything, the building of the dam, the fact that...
That's their safe place, this other stuff.
Sure. And so they're trying to take all this stuff and make it new for people who have not. Just like they do with The Walking Dead, We know certain things are going to happen as the people who've read the comic books, and as the show goes on, people are going to go back to the comic books, and now they have to try to surprise you. And so they pulled cheap shots.
But Ricky, I mean, it was inspiring, and yet it was so galling, because... If this is the standard, if this is the best, gentlemen, come on. We've had a lot of conversations about we have better ideas than this fucking movie, than the original idea. I think it is a good idea. It's a good idea. You've been telling me about the book for the last several weeks, and when you tell me about the book, I love it. I'm listening to you. I'm thinking that, this is a great fucking story. But seeing it in the original miniseries form in the 90s, seeing this movie... I'm thinking, like, this isn't a fucking good idea. This is so easy. They just parades all of the tropes of every horror movie, of every scary movie, just puts it right in front of you. There's nothing, like, really all that original and unique about it. It just did not make it into the movies. It might have been in the book, and I think it is, based on listening to you, but it was not in the movies. The movies, both of them, are just horror movie tropes. The same tired ideas, paraded right in front of you. And what makes it worse in this one, the editing, Anthony, I thought that you would really get on this. The whole super fast, every time it would attack a child, that whole, like a Tool video, like really fast, you know what I mean? Like it'd be super sped up.
Like him as a character, or
Pennywise? Yes, every time like the clown would attack, it would be like super sped up, and it's just like, oh, for God's sakes! We've seen it, we've just seen it. It's just been done and done. I almost like the original better because it seemed more subtle. This seemed a little bit like the same kind of horror movies we've been watching for the last 10 years.
The only thing I felt the original did better than the remake or the actual cinematic version was, and I knew this going in, I think everyone knows this, was the fucking clown himself, Pennywise. Yeah. Tim Curry being a fucking amazing actor, I felt did not need that horrific looking makeup effects that they did with this new one.
Because he's supposed to lure kids, right? Like he's
he looks like the clown at the fucking circus. This one does not.
No, he looks evil, twisted, demented. Yeah. Like what kid would follow this?
That's at an ICP concert.
Yes, what kid would follow that into a sewer?
No.
Yeah,
but I felt like he did a decent job. All right, he did good.
Yeah,
I'm not going to fucking discredit what's his name, Bill Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job.
Yeah. Sure.
I feel like no pun intended, big shoes to fill, clown. But I felt like, if you're going to follow the footsteps of Tim Curry, you got to do something different. Please do not try to mimic him. And I think he did great.
No, that's true.
Him. But Tim Curry looked clean. He looked happy. He looked, I'm a clown.
Yes.
Yeah, until he needed to look scary, and then he would look scary.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
And...
Which I think was much more twisted.
It was.
Really, yeah.
And the fact
that affected me much more.
And how he mocked everyone,
yes.
you know?
Yes.
Like, this one did not do much mocking.
Right.
Like, to me, it did not feel like he knew who these characters were.
He didn't know who the kids were.
Yeah.
He didn't, okay.
I did love the fact that they had the house. That was a great part. The leopard, I wish they would have brought more of that in.
The leopard? The woman?
The leopard. The fucking dude, the homeless guy who...
I thought it was a woman, but yeah, with the face all chewed up and stuff.
Yeah. But I got to rewatch it in actual theater to get a really good, you know...
I don't think it was terrible, but I just don't think it's worthy of all of this praise.
Well, I actually want to get back to that.
Crazy.
I think, because you asked, was there anything in this movie that we found creepy? No, I didn't. But I don't get creeped out at horror movies for the most part. I don't like horror movies because I find them scary. I like horror movies because I find them fucking cool.
Right.
And so,
sure.
But, like, to say, I mean, granted, I guess it's a horror movie. I saw it more as a drama. I saw it more as an R-rated drama. And so the appeal is... The reason why it's doing so big is because it's appealing to people outside of horror movie fans.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And it's based off of a Stephen King book, who is a very huge pop culture icon for his stories.
Yeah.
So it's drawing in a lot of people for that. Yeah. You're getting the people like our age who want to see what they're going to do differently, and then you're getting the younger generation who never bothered to read the book or to see the miniseries, who are seeing it for the first time. Okay. That's why it's drawing so many people. That's why it's pulling so many numbers.
Okay.
And you have people like my mom who's fucking a huge Stephen King follower. Uh-huh. I mean, like, you have everyone of every fucking... all over the spectrum. Mm-hmm. You know, people who grew up reading Stephen King when he came out. 40 years of his fucking career following him. This being one of his biggest fucking books of all times. You know?
But let me ask you guys, do you ever get tired of nostalgia pieces?
No.
Never?
I don't think so. I do big time.
But it's mostly...
I feel like it's really cheap. It's a cheap way at appealing to your emotions.
It is.
Yes.
It is, but I think with this one, I mean, I was looking to feel nostalgic. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, a lot of the other ones, it was just like, yes, I get it, you know?
Did you watch the Stranger Things series, though?
Not yet, no.
That's what I think really bothered me about it. Is if Stranger Things had never come out, this movie might not bother me as much. But it feels like there's a big draw towards nostalgic projects. Right. And so here's the kid from Stranger Things, the clean-cut lead in Stranger Things, saying dirty swear words. Right. It just felt so fucking cheap. It felt like it was just trying to drag something out of me.
Yeah, I mean...
In our generation, growing up in the 80s, and I felt like they were trying to manipulate me and not giving me a really good story.
When you ask me that question, like, I'm trying to, like... No, I don't get tired of it, but I'm trying to also think of past ones that came out, really, that I've seen, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, when I think of, like, nostalgic pieces, I think of Dazed and Confused. Even though that's not nostalgic to me. I remember when that movie came out, and it was a big influence on my life.
Right.
But you know what? I didn't grow up in the 70s. I wasn't fucking born in the 70s.
Because you don't relate to the...
I don't relate to those characters, but I love the movie, and I love what it stands for, and I love that whole...
Sure.
And, you know, like, and I remember the first time I watched it with my dad, and I could see my dad, like, this takes me back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, and that's, you know... what was cool about it.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't live through it, he did. Mm-hmm. And watching it with him for the first time, even though I've seen it a billion times before, and just like waiting for that, and when like certain songs would come on, you know, he totally misses a dialogue, but he gets, oh man, I fucking love that song. I remember when that song came out.
Right.
Shit like that. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't get tired of nostalgic pieces. Mm-hmm. Is because when I see things like that, it, as a person who wants to make film, I hope that something like that can touch someone. Like my dad.
Yeah,
right.
No, I get it. Yeah.
I was just going to clarify, like, with me, like, when it's nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, that's when it irritates me. That's when it's like, okay, come on. But if you have substance to it, or you know, if you have an entertaining story, something that's gonna, there's more going on than just remember the 80s.
Yeah.
Right.
Then it's like, okay, then I'm in. You got me.
And this movie had it?
Yeah, I thought the dialogue was well. I thought the relationship with the kids was engaging because of the fact that it was, what was it, 89, 90?
89,
88 to 89, right?
Right.
And it's like, so these kids are in middle school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or,
well, they're 11, 12 years old, so whatever that is.
I'm like that age. That's exactly me. I was that fat kid. And so it really took me fucking back.
Yeah.
Did you have the New Kids on the Block poster on your wall?
Not the poster, but I had their fucking music.
I thought you were that.
I caught it.
When she like threw the door over and
We're tough.
Did you laugh at this?
I like rolled my eyes.
Laughing, rolling out?
I did.
But like,
it just didn't do it for me. I thought it was no better than the original. I really didn't think it was any better.
I thought the kids, like, I don't know, because in the original, I did not believe those kids. And I watched it recently. And I grew up loving that. Yeah. And I grew up loving that part of the story is all them as
that
kids.
Was the best part
that
of the
was
story.
The best part.
Right.
And going back, I couldn't even enjoy that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right, let's wrap up the It talk.
So I'm out. I'm vetoed.
No, I feel you brought some great points.
Thank you.
Stuff that I did not see, though.
Thank you.
I did not.
I'm glad that you're. Yeah.
But so the summary is like, I liked it, you hated it, and you're kind of lukewarm. All right.
Okay. Well, that's not bad. We're all at I think a really good position. So we also Anthony, you wanted us to talk about Kevin Smith movies this week.
I didn't. Ricky did.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't know who was the one who initially initiated it.
We were talking about his Northern trilogy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well,
which movies were part of the trilogy?
Tusk, Yoga Hosers, and the unmade Moose Jaws. Right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
And we were all going to watch Tusk and Yoga Hosers. How many of us watched either of those films?
No hands are raised.
I didn't either, but I tried.
I started watching Yoga Hosers.
I watched about half an hour of it.
Me too, and I fell asleep. I wasn't even tired. I just rolled over and
I was wide awake.
Bed.
No, I watched it this morning. Yeah.
Were they on Netflix or are they?
Yoga Hosers is. Tusk is not.
No, but we watched the trailers.
We watched the trailers.
Both of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably never see those movies in my life.
Right.
Which is probably a very good idea because they seem so utterly horrible.
Right.
Just horrible movies. Now, I get it that he made a movie basically as a gift to his daughter. That's what I imagine.
Right. Yoga Hosers?
Right.
Yes.
That's exactly what
and that's awesome. Yeah. You know what? I don't even begrudge him that. That's fantastic. And of course it shouldn't be good. But but it's not good. I just can't watch it.
No.
So I don't begrudge the man the idea, but why do it if it's not going to be good? Like, do you think that he has a filter at all, an internal filter that says this is just stupid?
I don't know. Sure, I would imagine that he has a filter, and he just made a movie that he found enjoyable. I mean, if you listen to him talk about it,
what does he say about it? I haven't listened to him talk about it. Tell me what he talks about.
So I'm going to be Kevin Smith's mouthpiece.
You are.
Please.
You definitely are. Among the three of us,
you are.
Yes.
You're the expert in this.
Even Paul brought this up today. Actually, yes.
Did it?
Yes.
What Paul say?
So does Anthony really like Kevin Smith? Is he really a big fan? I fucking hate that guy. We grew up in the same town, and I hate Kevin Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Paul, I'm not a huge Kevin Smith fan. I don't wear jerseys and mimic everything he does. I find his art to be very uninspiring outside of... Clerks, phenomenal fucking movie, changed my life. Chasing Amy, I think, was a really good story. A very good movie.
Yeah.
I thought Mallrats was a fun, nonsensical movie. After that, everything else he's done is just... I don't find it very, I don't find it good, you know.
Well, what did he say about Yoga Hosers?
Yeah, I was going to say,
but
his podcasts, I find listening to him as an individual, being able to relate with him, and he reminds me a lot of friends of mine, people I grew up with and stuff, and so I can relate to him on that, and so I can see his and just his approach to life is getting, to at least now in the stage of career, is fuck it, why not? You know, like I'm going to make a movie I want to fucking see.
Absolutely,
And so
yeah.
I applaud him for that.
Yeah.
And
he seems like such a great guy, doesn't he? He
Yeah,
just seems like
he
the guy
seems
that
like
you would love to have a beer with, have a coffee with.
Right, exactly.
Conversation. He just seems like such a great guy.
But I mean,
I would
like,
say as a filmmaker, nothing.
no, yeah, I think.
And even looking back to Clerks, I would say nothing. It's not good. He's lucky.
I think he would be the first one to admit it. He's talked about it in his podcast many times whenever the subject comes up, that he was just happened to be the right place at the right fucking time.
And I would agree about chasing it. Great idea.
You're right.
It reminds me of Bergman. I mean, we're talking about relationships, or Woody Allen. You know, a movie about relationships, about the nitty gritty of having problems in a relationship. Problem is Ben Affleck.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a good idea. It's a good story, and it's a good script. Ben fucking Affleck.
Right.
So I just feel like he's fucked up all along the way, and so lucky. He succeeded despite the worst setbacks.
So
Right
Bad
place,
acting.
right time.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, yes, right place, right time, yeah.
So what's wrong
it
with
seems
that?
like nothing is wrong with it. I'm just saying, he just does not seem. I don't trust the guy as a filmmaker. I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, I don't think that the guy's ever made a really good movie.
But since
I loved him too when I was a kid, but
Yeah.
rewatching him, it
like
just doesn't
rewatching Clerks,
resonate.
like
yeah.
it doesn't.
No.
Like thinking and keeping in mind where the state of cinema was before Clerks came out. What was going on?
Yeah.
The fact that
When was that, 92?
Yeah, I
yes.
think so. Yeah, 92.
Okay.
Now there was nothing like that before in mainstream media, and that's why he made the fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's because it was one of those, as he tells it, you know, why don't we ever see a movie about like what me and my friends talk about or what me and my friends do? Then when he saw Richard Linklater's Slacker, he is like, because that movie is just all about.
It's like one giant chain letter.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
And he's like, oh shit, this counts. You can do this. You can do this in a fucking movie.
Right,
It's just
right,
dialogue.
right.
I can write dialogue.
Yeah.
And he fucking did it. And he just happened to be the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
The Weinsteins fucking bought the film,
Yeah.
put it out,
Yeah.
and then it just the dialogue. It was like bad acting. But the way it was written, this high vocabulary, and the way it was delivered, and just the people talking, it brought Star Wars into the fucking mainstream. It really fucking
As if Star Wars itself could bring itself into the mainstream. I think it did a pretty good job of being.
Well, no. As far as like outside of geek culture, Clerks is partially responsible for that.
Dissecting it,
Yes.
maybe, but not being aware and
No,
discussing
I think he did. I think because the
because
popular
everyone loves Star Wars.
Not everyone.
Not everyone, because like when Clerks came out, like,
Mainstream culture, right? No, I thought
No,
everybody.
yes, it's mainstream culture, but geeks really fucking loved Star Wars, and like everybody else was kind of like, yeah, whatever, you know. I think Clerks helped start bringing that more towards people who wouldn't
Familiar with it. I mean,
Yeah, probably, okay.
along with comic books and hockey.
I was
You
gonna
know,
say-
it's
Yeah.
one of those.
I was going to say what Anthony's trying to say is not just bring Star Wars, but bring the whole geek
culture. Yes, geek culture.
into.
Thank you.
I got it. I got it.
He made being a nerd cool. Steve is what the fuck? Who are we talking about?
Kevin
Smith.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe Stephen King did too, but no.
And actually, I think he did. Yeah, I think.
But Kevin Smith made being a dork cool.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
By bringing characters like Dante, Randall, the biggest fucking slacker out there. And
Yeah. Okay. So do you remember this book came out in the early '90s? Spike, Mike, Slackers, and Dykes. Do you remember that? And it was kind of about that whole culture and
then they do
people like
the
Kevin
animated
Smith.
Film festival thing.
Yeah,
No,
it's something different. Yes,
Okay,
but like Kevin Smith and his peers. So you had like Spike Lee, Tarantino. I feel like Tarantino and Spike Lee's films definitely hold up more or than Smith's. Like today, like you know.
Absolutely, they stand the test of time.
They do. I think so.
Where Kevin Smith doesn't.
I'll give you that.
Yes.
But putting it in its proper context,
It belongs there in its time.
important.
In its time, you're right.
And
You're right.
it was needed.
You're absolutely right.
And
You're
so,
absolutely right. Yes.
He will. I mean,
Yes.
because of that, Clerks. It made me want to go to film school.
Me too. Of course.
And
yeah.
so
I still stand by that.
It will always,
Yes.
in my heart, it'll always be
Yes.
a great fucking movie.
You know what?
And,
Me too.
And
Me
I
too.
always loved it for its flaws. I always recognized its flaws.
You know, so did I. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
Like to me, Chasing Amy was his masterpiece. It was his.
I would
opus.
agree.
And watching Chasing Amy within because I watched Clerks not even a year ago, and afterwards I'm like, fuck. And that I remember loving that movie, but The Dead Don't Dance had better acting than Clerks did.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree. But part of that is because it's so dialogue heavy, and the dialogue had such a huge vocabulary, and these people were stumbling over their own tongues.
Right, I get that because
they all spoke from the same voice. Like they did not have distinct personalities. They were all Kevin Smiths.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like Tarantino, all his movies are all.
Yeah. You're right.
I'm trying to fucking get some out. You're just.
I'm your hype man. I'm saying yeah. Word. You're right.
All right. So yes, Kevin Smith, Tarantino, their actors are never true. They're their directors. They're just voicing those guys' vocabulary. Right. So everyone in a Quentin Tarantino movie, from let's say what was his? If we're gonna go chronological, like in time. People from fucking Hateful Eight, Django Unchained, all the way up to whatever, all speak the same fucking dialogue and have the same rants.
They all talk like they're from the 1970s blaxploitation film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where Kevin Smith, everyone talks like they're a fucking nerd from New Jersey.
Well, even more. I mean, yeah.
But now today, everyone has this, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think everybody appreciates Kevin Smith movies, not because they're good movies, but because of what they learned from them.
So with what you saw in sticking to Anthony's proposal, we don't know where it came from.
It wasn't my proposal. We were having this.
What you saw in Yoga Hosers.
We were having.
That similar to Clerks?
Hold on.
Let Anthony.
I think
defend himself.
Yes, because you are constantly painting me out to be this giant Kevin Smith fan, and it gives people like Paul the impression that I just want to suck Kevin Smith's dick.
I think it's you who does that.
And
so when he asked me this today, I told him like, no, I don't think he's his biggest fan. I think he really just respects him and the whole podcasting empire. Like,
yes.
No,
it's a genuine respect for like what. Yeah. So yeah, okay, yes.
But I
tease you. It's not really how I feel.
How this came about was because you were asking questions about his movies.
Yeah.
And we just got on the conversation of his latest 3. Yeah. And then Ricky's like, we should watch those movies and we should talk about them.
Look at this guy throwing me under the bus.
All right. Let's not get into who proposed what and when. Let's just ask. So, Yoga Hosers, what I've seen of it, does not seem to have the same voice.
No, it does not.
As those earlier films.
No, it does not.
Okay.
And it has his
For better or worse.
voice. It has the voice of a ditzy, dumb fucking teenager.
It has the voice of a teenager.
Who has no fucking troubles in the world because her dad's one of the biggest fucking filmmakers.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot of rage. You sound angry about it.
I'm jealous.
No,
that's
the thing. It's like, you know, like I text Erica this week. I'm like, watch the trailer to Yoga Hosers. It was after I watched the fucking movie. Watch the trailer to Yoga Hosers. I can't right now. Well, when you get a chance, watch it and explain to me, how the fuck does anyone want to go and see this movie? I mean, because I don't even think Kevin Smith's fans want to see this movie. Obviously, Anthony doesn't want to.
I wouldn't think so.
Like, I don't see anyone.
So, did she watch it?
No.
She never saw it.
She totally forgot what I texted her.
All right.
What I'm saying is, like, it made me angry that, like, I have great ideas. You have great ideas.
Yeah.
We all have awesome ideas for what should be movies. How is a movie about fucking teenage clerks?
Yes.
Clerks as girls in high school who are yoga enthusiasts living in Canada.
I don't even get the whole yoga tie-in. What the fuck is that? It had nothing to do with the story.
I don't know. But anyways, it was a shitty movie. I couldn't make it 20 minutes in. You couldn't make it a half hour in. You went 10 minutes longer.
Oh, I really tried.
I couldn't. We watched Tusk, and it was like, whatever. It seems like a funny version of the Human Centipede.
Well, which also was supposed to be funny, right? Like, isn't that
the Human
somewhat
Centipede?
Comedic? Just the idea itself, of course, is supposed to be a joke.
Sew people's mouths to someone else's ass and make a human centipede. I guess that's funny.
Yeah, well, didn't the filmmaker himself just,
it's a big joke. It's a big fucking joke. It has to be.
He was kind of like more surprised at the fact of like how everybody took it serious than what he intended. I thought I like heard an interview with him.
I don't even think people did take it seriously. I think they
got grossed out.
No, I think they took it for exactly what it is. It's a ridiculous, weird story. I gotta see that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's all it was. I don't think anybody wanted to see it, or anybody thought it'd be brilliant, or anybody thought it changed anybody's life. It's just, oh yeah, I gotta see that.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, since we're on the topic of comedy,
we're switching gears.
let's talk about child molestation.
Oh, we're getting on
Billy,
to this. Celebrity child molestation is funny. I brought this up to Paul today, and the first person that he came up with was I can't remember his name, but he worked for the BBC. You know who I'm talking about? They found he was a BBC presenter. They found out that he was molesting children after he died. Like that he had this long record of fucking kids.
After he died.
After he died, yes.
They didn't find out that once he died, he started molesting kids.
No, yeah, so he totally got away with it.
That was weird.
Totally got away with it. Yeah. So that was the first person that came up to Paul's mind. But no, I told him, like, no. We're talking about the guy who directed Jeepers Creepers. And
Victor
Victor Salva. Roman Polanski, Woody Allen. Those are the main ones that come to my mind.
And one that really, when we read about it and kind of started like seeing that there's more of this going into Hollywood, hit us a little bit more closer to home. Brian Peck.
From Return of the Living Dead.
The one who played Scuzz.
The one with the blonde mohawk. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah,
me and Billy both cried.
Well,
it was weird. Yeah, because I'd never heard that until we started researching celebrity child molesters.
Well, wasn't it just like
at work with the URL that is hooked up into our own? We looked up people who fuck kids.
Nice. Well, wasn't it just like recently, like a year or so ago, that Elijah Wood in an interview or something was talking about how there's this huge epidemic within Hollywood?
That's the one that that article I was reading was written by.
I didn't read that article, but
but that's the one that had Brian Peck.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't actually read the whole article.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And then there was also, because I remember reading something, and I can't remember about what director it was. It was somebody recent who's doing like a lot of successful stuff right now with like the X-Men and stuff.
Is it
Brian Peck?
Was that Brian Peck?
Yeah, Brian Peck. Yes, because he was working on the X-Men films.
Yes,
that's right. Because I remember I was reading this whole article about these elaborate pool parties where they would hire these like teenage boys to be like
like servers or something. Yeah, okay.
And then they would like have them like get in the pool with them, and then there's like these stories of there's just elaborate fucking molestations going on and stuff.
Doesn't sound that elaborate. It just sounds like man-child pool. Just jump on in.
The way they told
it. It's not that elaborate. It sounded really exciting. Really juicy. Oh man. Well, but I think the point of what you were wanting to talk about was
Victor Salva.
Well, does it? Sorry, go ahead. But I was just going to say, like, does it change their
work?
Yes.
All right, here's what I'm going at. So, the reason why I want to talk about this, because...
Is Jeepers Creepers a shittier movie because this director fucked some kids?
No. So, Jeepers Creepers 3 is coming out. Now, I am not a huge fan of the series, but I like them. I like them for what they are. You know?
Yeah, they're not bad. I like them.
They're fun horror movies.
Yeah, I like them.
There's nothing brilliant, thought-provoking. They're just fun. Let's kill movies.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they're not bad.
So, this director, Victor Salva, he has a third one coming out. It's only getting a limited release. Actually, it's only getting one night of theatrical release before it's going to make its run into, on demand and eventually on Netflix and whatnot. So, people are fucking protesting this movie. Like it was going to get an actual premiere. People protested at the theater saying we're going to protest from now until it's released if you don't pull it.
Right.
They pulled it. So it's not getting a premiere now.
Right.
People are up, all in arms about this pedophile making this movie. All right, you know what? All the people who think this guy should not have his movie released because he's a pedophile, go fuck yourself. The time to do that is when he got out of prison and started making fucking movies, is what I think. He's had a whole fucking almost 2 decades of filmmaking since his fucking time was up.
So just because I don't know the exact details here. So he got popped for child molestation, served time, got out, started making movies.
Again.
But he hasn't been...
No one has made a stink about it until now.
But there's been no accusations of
no, there was no nothing new. It's all recent. It's all the previous, the one that he went to jail.
Okay.
And that movie was speaking of it, Clown House, a movie about these guys dressing up like clowns. Sam Rockwell is in it. I remember watching it as a kid, thinking it was cool. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But one of the actors in there, he touched.
Right.
You don't touch kids, I guess, right?
You're not supposed to. It's frowned upon.
Okay. So afterwards, after the movie came out, the kid went to his parents and said, hey, the fat gay guy touched me. They went, raided his house. They found videos of him getting oral sex and giving oral sex to this kid.
Right.
Went to jail. What was it? 15 months? He
Something
served?
like that, or 19 months, something.
Something like less than 2 years. He served in
But
prison.
he did go to prison.
Right.
He got out, became a telemarketer, started writing scripts. The first thing he did was this Eric Roberts one you liked. What was it?
Nature of the Beast.
Yes.
Eric Roberts, Lance Henriksen.
Nature of the Beast. And then he did this Powder movie that Disney put out. And from there, he was making other movies until he did the Jeepers Creepers films.
Right.
He did one. He did two. Wrote, directed both of them. And now the third one's coming out. People are like, this guy's a pedophile. We don't want to see this movie. Let's not put it out there.
Right.
What's your opinion, Anthony?
I think you have to separate the art from the artist. That, it's one of those things, you don't like the man, spread awareness, He already got paid. I mean, boycotting the movie isn't going to do anything at this point.
Right.
It's going to, he is not... Okay. I haven't seen Jeepers Creepers or any of these movies you've listed, but I would say that he is not he's not an auteur. You know what I'm saying? It's not him on celluloid. Mm-hmm. So boycotting his movies, it doesn't really do anything. You can raise it like a social awareness campaign if you want to, but he already. You're bitching about shit he already served time for. Our justice system, said that he's guilty of this, he served his time, and now you want to go and crucify him for something that he's already dealt with.
Right.
It seems a bit excessive.
Right.
With this situation.
Right.
I think when it comes to people more like Woody Allen or Roman Polanski, where they haven't been charged, they haven't faced up to it or answered it or anything like that, that becomes a totally different story. And it becomes, and like in a Woody Allen situation, it's very hard to separate the man from
why?
Whatever.
From the artist. The art from the artist. Because
he has answered it.
Well, he's answered, I'm talking about the more recent ones.
Yeah.
The one just a year ago.
Yeah, he's answered it.
What was it?
With when he was accused of molesting his daughter.
Right.
Yeah, no, he answered it.
What did he say?
He answered. What did he say?
Yeah.
It's a call.
So his daughter wrote it was a very moving letter.
Is this the daughter he married, supposedly?
No, which makes it more creepy that it was Woody Allen. But no, it was not the one that he married. Okay. So his daughter said that he used to molest her when she was a child, and that every time when she sees award ceremonies like the Academy Awards, whenever he's given some award, he just puts her stomach in knots because yes, Woody Allen is the man that molested her, right? So Woody Allen's response was he took her, and it was a very moving letter, I must admit, very moving letter. She was very detailed about how he used to touch her in the attic in her childhood home in Connecticut. He would take her upstairs, and he would fondle her, all this stuff, very detailed, and it was so touching, and it was awful. But Woody's response was, here's the thing. I'm afraid of attics in enclosed places. Anybody who knows me knows this. So to write this story, it doesn't ring true to anybody who's ever known me. She made these accusations as a child, and the police interviewed me and cleared me of such charges. Typically, child molesters, people who serially abuse children, cannot stop. I've never before been accused of molesting children, nor have I ever after this so-called incident been accused of molesting children. So my track record is pretty much intact. A lot of what she says smacks of her mother telling stories that are just not true, putting ideas in her head. In fact, Mia Farrow, a psychiatrist, said the same thing, that this sounds like the mother is manipulating her and putting ideas in her head that just aren't there. He addresses the Sun Yi thing. He did marry his adopted daughter, who is considerably younger than him, but I do feel he deserves points for the fact that they're still fucking married. They've been married for 30 years. So there's something to be said about that. And he also points out, her mom had an affair with Frank Sinatra when she was 19, and he was 50. So this whole thing about like marrying an older man or being with like. Sorry, yet morally maybe society frowns upon it, but you're not one to really frown upon this lady.
Right.
So, and that's it. He just left it at that. He's like, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to address this any further. That's it.
So there was never, like, he didn't charge, like, she wasn't charging him with, like, any...
Again, like, she brought this up to the police when she was a kid. He was interviewed by the police, by the Connecticut police force.
Right.
And they found no reason to prosecute. They thought that she was making it up.
For me, I still find it hard to separate... Because of the fact that I find it so hard to separate Woody Allen, the artist, from the movies he makes. And because of the fact that I just find, like, these stories to be, like, unconvincing, in a sense. Like his explanations for them. I just find there's just something about it, you know, and maybe...
Like what? What do you mean?
It just seems, it just rings fucking creepy. Like, the fact that, like, some of his actions, like, the fact that he did marry his adoptive daughter. That's very fucking creepy.
It is. It's weird.
And it really,
totally.
like, and, like, the accusations of child molestation didn't spring up once he married her. Those accusations were there before. And so it kind of just seems like...
With this girl?
With his daughter.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember the accusations other than what just came up a couple years ago.
I thought there was.
What she printed.
I thought there was.
I don't know. All I know is...
I mean, I could be wrong.
It came up in the news a couple years ago. Because she printed this open letter to the New York Times, and it was this big deal.
I could be wrong.
I didn't know before that.
I could be wrong on the details. I just know that, like, as a kid, that's what, like... It was
the Soon Yi controversy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one I was... yes, of course.
And so it was just like, oh, that's fucking weird. And then you hear these...
It is.
And then up until... the recent accusation from so-and-so Pharaoh. What's her first name?
I don't remember. But does it count at all that he and Sunni are still married?
There's been other accounts of him supposedly molesting kids. Like, it wasn't just those
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, where? When? I don't think so. I really don't.
I don't know. It's just, maybe that's just pop culture. I mean, just in my head, he's been accused of multiple times molesting kids other than Sunni.
No, not that I know of.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't think so. What about?
But just let me finish on this real quick.
I don't think so.
Okay, and that could be just me not having all the facts.
Right.
But for me, that's the picture I have, and whether that's a tainted picture, whether that's a picture that's been painted by propaganda against people who want to discredit him. Yeah. Just as a kid, that's the impression I've always had.
Okay.
The fact that you see a Woody Allen movie. It's a Woody Allen, you know, and I haven't seen a lot of his later stuff, but the stuff I've seen, it's him, you know. It's just. And the fact that, like, he's got this baggage that nobody wants to fucking talk about and nobody wants to be offended by. Right. But people are going out of their fucking way to be offended by shit these days. Yeah. And it does seem a little fucking odd that somebody who's been accused of this and has married his adoptive daughter and people are always like, they find a way to just excuse it, and you know what I'm saying? And granted, all the excuses I've heard from people who defend, other than you, who defend him,
who I always defend sexual predators.
Well, no, when you defend Woody Allen, you have details, you have facts. Other people just blow him off as, oh, that's not true, without providing anything to suggest, well, why isn't it true? Yeah. So I can see her point that this whole whitewashing of him, this glorification of him, and let's just forget about the dirty things he's done. Yeah. If he's done them or if he's not, we're not even going to fucking talk about it. Yeah. But yet we're going to get offended if somebody, I can't even think of an example right now, but like. I can't even think of one right now.
Polanski?
I don't know.
We're going to get to that?
I was going to think about just anything currently right now. You walk outside, you'll see somebody protesting something fucking retarded. It seems to be...
I hate retarded.
In this fucking current culture we live in, this fake manufactured outrage that people fucking tend to have. Yeah, right. But yet when it comes to shit like this, people are just like, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean,
I see what you mean, yes. Certain people are given a pass. Yes,
well, it's like this whole, like the director I was talking about. Victor Salva, who was convicted, went to jail, served his time, had a career, and now is like people are like trying to, like you say, crucify. But someone like Woody Allen, who, even in the 80s, when this happened, when he married his daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, how many movies has this guy made since that time?
Many.
Probably like 15, 20 movies, right? He puts a movie out every year, it seems like. How many times do you see people outside protesting and picking it? We're not going to see this creep's fucking movie. None. How many times has this guy almost awarded a fucking...
Well, let me put something else out there, too. So I read Werner Herzog's book, Guide for the Perplexed. And he was known to work with the actor Klaus Kinski, right? That was one of his muses. Mm-hmm. Did several films with him. And after Kinski died, Kinski's daughter, his eldest daughter, accused him of having molested her when she was a kid. The guy who was writing the book with Herzog asked him, well, just in general, what do you think about that? And he says, I know her. I've known her whole life. I know him. I think the allegations are probably true. I think he probably did it. And then when he was asked, does this change his opinion of Kinski? He said, look, he brought up the name of Caravaggio, the famous Italian painter, who was also known for murdering a person. He said, does the fact that Caravaggio murdered a person make him any less of a painter? It doesn't. It doesn't speak to the art at all. It speaks to the person, sure, but it has nothing to do with the art. And even though you can have, as he did, the utmost sympathy for the daughter, for the victim, it doesn't change the art, does it? The artist is a prick, but the art doesn't change, does it?
Right.
Yeah. So the masterpiece that is Jeepers Creepers doesn't change at all because the director was a child molester at one point.
Right.
I would say so, and especially I think if you are incarcerated, if you pay the price, if you actually...
Right, yeah, I mean, the guy went to jail. Yeah. He was convicted.
Well, what else can you do?
What do you want us to do?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the time to say, hey, let's not let this guy have a career in filmmaking would have been at the time.
During his trial.
The first one.
Yeah.
This guy should not be allowed to become a filmmaker and make all this money.
But if society deems him worthy of release, then you just got to accept it.
Right.
He did his time.
Yeah. Just keep your eye on the motherfucker. I'm sure he's registered as a sex offender.
He is. Let's just keep our eye on him.
It's like,
don't let your fucking kid go near him.
Yes.
It's like Brian Peck.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Can't have this guy in a movie with kids, because you might touch him.
But didn't he work with kids? Wasn't that the whole thing that we read? That he worked on Disney Channel movie. Too, right?
Maybe.
I think it was like the Disney Channel.
Yeah. But anyways,
but the thing is, I thank God, if there is a God every day, that I'm not attracted to children. I mean, isn't that great? Isn't that a great feeling that you just don't want to fuck kids? Isn't that awesome? Isn't that freeing? Isn't that liberating, guys? Gentlemen, seriously, that you walk outside, you see a kid, you want to say hi and push it on a swing. You don't want to fuck it. You don't, and it's a great feeling.
It is a good feeling, Billy.
Yeah.
Well, the thoughts never crossed my mind. I've never been like, thank God I don't want to fuck a kid.
Oh man, I think about it all the time because
what does that say?
That sounds to me like somebody who thinks about fucking kids.
Did you ever see the movie M with Peter Lorre?
No.
Oh man, where he was a child killer. He fucked a bunch of kids and then he killed them and then
really?
And society caught him. It was a bunch of gangsters and they put him on trial in the sewers.
Huh.
And he gave this beautiful, impassioned speech about how, do you think I want this? Do you think I want this life? I don't want to fuck kids, but I do. I can't help it. I just can't help it. It's you know what I mean? He gave this... I'm paraphrasing the speech and I cannot do it justice. But that was the gist of it, is that, he can't control these urges.
Right.
This isn't the person that he wants to be. It's the person that he was born to be. And it's awful. And it's this horrible burden. And ever since I saw that movie came out the 30s. It was pre-Hitler. It was shot in Germany before Hitler even came to power. And yeah, of course, that made me think, thank God I don't want to fuck a child. That's pretty great. I take that for granted every day.
How did that speech end for him?
They turned him over to the police. So the whole thing, they were just going to execute him. But his speech convinced because the people who put him on trial, they were the gangsters. They were the criminal element. And all they wanted to do was torture him and kill him. But when he gave this speech, they all decided, we'll turn him over to the authorities. And we'll just let the law deal with this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, as I blabbered before, I've been sitting there thinking, why the fuck did I say Pee Wee Herman? But what is the whole thing, why Pee Wee Herman has this stink on his name. I mean, he got caught in the fucking porno theater masturbating.
Separate incidents. He was caught masturbating in a porno theater, and that's what ended his career. But what you're talking about with the child pornography, he was arrested in, 2004 or so for child pornography.
Was it that long ago? I thought it was more recent.
No, it was around 2004 because I was still working at the surplus store. And he was arrested at the same time as Jeffrey Jones from Beetlejuice, etc. They were arrested at pretty much the same time. Paul Rubens was exonerated because he was a collector of classic erotica, I guess. Like plates of depicting sexual acts, whatever. It turned out that he didn't really traffic in child pornography at all. So he was exonerated. Jeffrey Jones. Not so lucky. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I thought that was
different incidents.
I thought that was much more recently. But didn't that because when did Mystery Men come out? That was before
late 90s, like 97, 98.
Was it? I thought it was
I was working at the theater. I was 17.
Well, maybe 90.
I was working at Westminster 5
because it had that Smash Mouth song, and that came out in 99.
Yeah, it had to been that.
Yeah, but everybody had that Smash Mouth song for like quite a while. It was like one of those things where like, okay, can we get rid of this fucking?
I thought it was always associated with the movie though. No?
Which one? Walking
All Star.
Yeah.
No, that song was fucking everywhere.
You're right. It was before that, but not much.
But it was, and then after that, like that song was used for like years after it got fucking put on the radio.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm
gonna say 99, 2000.
Anyway, the reason why I bring it up is because it was early mid 90s when he got arrested in Florida in the movie theater, right?
Right. It was I would say so. Early 90s.
Early 90s.
We were kids.
And so he starts to he starts to make like a comeback, and then this child molestation thing happens. Yeah. And then, even though he was exonerated, it's pretty much fucked his career a second time. Mm-hmm. He's got like pretty much gone nowhere, right?
Well, no, he has that Netflix.
He did. Yeah, no. Yes, exactly. Yes, they brought back Pee-wee's
Big Holiday, whatever.
Yeah, from Netflix. Yeah. Yes. No, I don't think it really hurt him that bad because Paul Rubens and Pee Wee Herman were completely divorced at that point. So he had done movies like
Buffy.
Well, not just Buffy, but he also did one with Dwight Yoakam, a western, South of Heaven, I think it was called. So
this is after the child molesting charges.
No,
the child
it was after the porno theater.
Yeah,
The child molesting the child pornography that was dismissed very quick.
Well, I know,
but it
seems to me that because of the movie theater thing, it made news again. Yeah, and because of that,
he was still a pervert.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe yes. I'm sure it probably did have an effect on his career. Absolutely. And he probably has not fully recovered from it, nor done anything of significance because of it. Sure.
And what about this Polanski guy?
Let's talk about my main man, Roman P.
He, left the country.
Yeah, he fucked a 13-year-old.
A 13-year-old.
Fucked a 13-year-old.
Left the country.
Yeah, fucked the hell out of her. He did.
Still has fucking movies coming
out. That's a fact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what the latest movie he did.
I don't remember the last one either. But what about it?
I don't know. I mean, he left the country, and I knew that he had a movie out at that time, and I think it did pretty well.
I don't know much about the details to him or his work.
Well, I do, and I'm happy to enlighten you guys because Paul asked about this earlier today too, and I think it's kind of interesting because he's like, what about Roman Polanski? That asshole, he fucked this kid, and he just gets away with it, etc., etc. Well, the story is, he did fuck a 13-year-old girl. There's no doubt about that. Right. Nor did he ever deny it. And the thing is, when he was accused of it, he went to court and he said, I did it. Absolutely, I did it. But the judge put off sentencing indefinitely. Right. And during that time, Polanski said, well, I'm contracted to shoot this movie in Europe. May I go and shoot this movie? Judge said, sure. So he went to Europe to shoot this movie in Germany. And during Oktoberfest, there were some photographs taken of him with a couple of youngish-looking girls, and he looked really happy and looked like he was having the time of his life. These photographs made their way back to the judge in Los Angeles, and the judge said, you piece of shit. Look at this guy. He's flaunting his success. This is bullshit. You come back to him. You need to come back now.
Right.
And he did. He came back to America. And the judge sentenced him to undergo a diagnostic test at Chino prison. So he was incarcerated for 6 months in Chino, undergoing psychological evaluations. So the psychiatrist at Chino said, for a man whose entire family was wiped out by the Holocaust, whose wife was murdered in one of the most highly publicized murders in human history, he's a pretty stable guy. Like, we think that he's probably not likely to offend.
So he fucks a kid or two.
He's not likely to offend again. Something like that. That he's not likely to offend again. So their recommendation was probation. The girl's parents recommended probation. The judge kept putting off sentencing again and again and again. And it seemed like because the judge could sentence him to something like 20 years or something like that. So he just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So Polanski's just sweating. And Polanski's feeling like, I did everything you told me to do. I said I was guilty. I asked for permission to go overseas. I came back when you told me to come back. I went to the 6 months diagnostic in prison. What more do you want from me? And there's still no sentence. Fuck it, I'm leaving. And he left. And even the district attorney who was prosecuting him said, I would have done the same thing. Like this judge was fucking crazy. This judge was just trying to make a name for himself.
Make an example.
I would have done the same thing.
So was this, like, how old was Polanski at this time? Well, you say he's a Holocaust survivor, so...
He's old. I mean,
when did this take place? The 70s?
70s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's in his 40s?
Probably. Yeah, I would say so.
I guess, how old was
Late 30s, early 40s.
How old was he during the Holocaust, I guess?
Just a boy.
So he's a child.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if it was was it a relationship with a 13-year-old? Was it one of those statutory rape situations where it was a consensual relationship and she just was
I don't know all the details about the sexual relationship, but I think that's what it was. It wasn't ongoing. It was... He was taking photographs of her for a magazine at Jack Nicholson's house, who was, out of town at the time.
Conveniently.
Yeah. But just taking pictures of her, like, for a magazine spread. She was a model. Mm-hmm. I think it was just a one-time thing.
And the reason why I asked is because, you start... it's really hard to differentiate when it comes to like child molestation and stuff like that, because there's a lot of psychological shit going on and stuff like that. So, but you start getting into stories of like Jerry Lee Lewis and
his 13-year-old cousin,
or Elvis Presley. When he met Priscilla, she was underage.
That's true. She was about 13 as well.
And so, but that was the 50s. Society was much different then.
Okay, forget the time. Let me just ask you this, gentlemen. When were you sexually aware of yourselves? Because for me, 13, 14, I would have fucked any girl who would have let me have sex with her. Bottom line. Like, how old are you when you own your sexuality? I think that's a real question.
Yeah.
Is it this arbitrary age of 18 that society assigns to us?
No.
Like, but at what point do you just say, like, I'm aware of the consequences of sex, I'm aware of it, I want to do it?
No, it's
you know what I mean?
It's very tricky. And because of the fact that, like, mental maturity and awareness is it's a matter of, it's a grayscale. It's not black or white.
Absolutely.
But it's one of those situations where we have to, yes, just say 18. That is an arbitrary fucking age. It's an arbitrary number.
I think so.
But it becomes so hard. It's like, at what point? Because you can't get into that person's head. You can't get into that kid's head. So the kid may say, like, I did it completely voluntarily. I was fully aware. But were they manipulated into thinking that they were there? Is it something that they're going to... Are they scarred by it, but they just fell in love with their fucking captor? Or, you know what I'm saying?
The perpetrator.
When we talk about that, how many 20-year-old girls can be tricked into having sex with someone who doesn't fucking really... Yeah. Fuck. Even guys. People could get tricked into fucking people just because.
And it
that's the idea. How old are you when you own your sexuality? I don't think there is an exact number.
All right. As society, I can see like what the difference is of a 15-year-old fucked a 13-year-old versus a 50-year-old fucked a 13-year-old.
Right.
There is some kind of
predator prey.
Yes. But the 15-year-old. How come two kids? How come kids can love each other, but a man can love a kid?
That's a great question.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's stupid. But no, like, I don't say it's okay.
Sounds like you just did.
But, I mean,
A
seriously.
man
I mean,
can
like,
love a child.
I mean, we all know a man can love a woman. How can But no, I mean, seriously, like, you know, like, if a 17-year-old kid slept with a 17-year-old boy sleeps with a 13-year-old girl, there's no crime committed, right?
Depends.
Well, yeah, it depends on where you're,
Each state has its own different
county?
age of consent and everything. So
certain counties
But once
frown
he
upon
flips
it.
that age of being 18,
again, that's yeah.
but I mean, like, I was fucking 18 and I slept with a 16-year-old who...
For God's sakes, Ricky, I knew it! I knew it! I knew it!
I mean, we were together for 7 years after that and got engaged and bought a house together.
You
and
fucked a
shit.
kid. Nothing will ever change that. No facts.
And on that note, that concludes our show.
No,
I've never fucked a kid. Let's just make the record straight.
How much older are you than from your wife?
3.5 years or so.
When were you guys starting dating? Well, how old were you?
Stop trying to rope him in. Into your debauch.
I'm clean on this.
Are you?
Yeah.
Disgusting life.
She was 18 when we started dating.
Oh, okay. Screw you.
And so we're good.
Fuck you, Anthony. I thought one person.
He's trying to drag Anthony. You're trying to drag
Anthony did too. He told me.
Your depraved, disgusting child fucking lifestyle.
All right.
It's probably a good time to end it, I suppose. But I think we learned a lot. Roman Polanski is not nearly as bad as we thought he was. Neither is Woody Allen. If you just look up the facts, consult the internet, consult Wikipedia. And,
Still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, though.
Yoga hosers. What the fuck was that?
That leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
For God's sakes, what the fuck was that? It. Well, the jury is divided on that one.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for joining. Good night.
God damn it, Anthony.
What?
You left me hanging there.
Well, he's mad that you never had
threw me
sex
under
with a
the-
minor. That's what he's upset about.
Sorry, Ricky.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Ricky. We can't all be like cool Mr. Ricky
I
having
was gonna
sex
jump-
with minors.
I was going to jump in and defend you, but it would have just brought the conversation keep going on the topic, and it seemed like...
And it would
guys
also
wanted
make
to
you
stop.
look as fucked up as he is, so nobody wants to
No,
do
not
that.
me, not personally. It's not personal stories, but I mean, like, they, you run into these situations all the time where, like dude's 18, chick's 17.
No, I know,
they're
I
fucking,
know.
And then her parents don't like him, and then all of a sudden they start pressing fucking statutory
rape charge.
And then he gets has to register as a sex offender because they're 6 months apart. He just happens to be the magical 18, and she not quite yet.
Right. No.
So, you know, it's great. So, next podcast, Ricky registers as a sex offender. I think that's what, we make him go downtown and register. Confess to this whole thing. I was 18, my girlfriend was 16.
She was almost 17.
She was almost like...
Almost there.
Sign right there. Here's your stamp.
I mean, I'm talking like days.
Welcome to Sex Offender Club.
I'm talking days. Because I just turned 18.
You freak. Yeah, you freak. We were sitting... The thing is that bothers me. We were all sitting here talking about how, we don't want to fuck kids. And then at the very end of it, you're like, I fucked a kid.
Fuck.
I feel betrayed.
I can just see the headlines now. Well, not the headlines, but the fucking title of this episode. Ricky fucks a kid. Oh, man.
You are a part of this podcast. And you did make some shocking admission that you probably should have kept secret for the rest of your life.
I need a beer.